Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everybody. We're not quite at the beginning there. I just need to take that back to the beginning for a moment. Yeah, morning, everybody. My name is Mike Smith. I'm a partner at Generate Development, the council's development partner on just one of the many initiatives that Steve's talked about. And he asked me to come here this morning and just update everybody about where we are with the Riverside project. So we are. Could we just wind that back? Thank you. Thank you. We had a slight technical problem this morning. We started on site 26th of February, and we are now 30 weeks into a 110-week contract. So we're actually already probably between 25 and 30% of the way through the build. And I think if you've been following progress on site, you may have thought not a lot's been happening, and we've just been moving big piles of muck around for the last few months. But there's a huge remediation exercise been ongoing. The whole of the site, because of ground conditions that Steve alluded to, has to be piled. And because of the previous uses, the black box, the multi-storey car park, the bus station, I think there's even an old swimming pool down there. We've had to do an incredible amount of work removing an awful lot of obstructions, take the material out, crush it, treat it, and then put it back to produce the pile mat from which we can build. But we're pretty much done now. We've also, at the same time, been carrying out the service diversions, the utility diversions. And so a lot of the risky stuff is out of the way now. We've been fortunate because we've clearly had the weather on our side this summer, which has been great. But it is great to be able to report at this stage of the game that when we're out of the ground, that we're on programme. And we are on programme for a Easter 2020 opening, which is good news. Just a few images. These are the most recent images of site progress taken in the last few weeks. The steelwork's now starting to come out of the ground. This is the cinema block at the butts end of the site, which I'm sure you will have seen. And I think what you will see now is that over the next few weeks you'll really start to see some concrete progress as that steelwork moves through, down the site towards John Street and the car park and the department store. Again, if we could just wind back slightly, no, we'll wind the other way slightly for me, thank you. We're also over 60% let. Again, that's a great boost for the project. The scheme in total is about 200,000 square feet. There's quite a bit of flex in that because all of the majority of the units that you can see here will be double height, 9 metres high. So they're all capable of accommodating trading mezzanines. And indeed, the likes of Next and River Island have already signed up to trade off 2 levels. So we get more space for more retailing space for what we're building really. And hopefully, as more people come on board, then they will also take the opportunity to trade off both levels. We're currently in legals on the unit that's shown blue on the map there with another major national occupier, and that will bring another 20,000 square feet over 2 levels to the scheme. And then down to the left-hand side, the blue units on the end, that's the site of the cinema. And cinema actually sits on 2nd floor with some ground floor leisure units, but then between there we have another 20,000 square feet of leisure accommodation. And again, we're in discussions at the moment with another major leisure occupier. And hopefully over the next few weeks we'll be able to make some more announcements about new people coming to the town. The Riverside project was always only part of a number of regeneration initiatives which were being brought forward by the council. But in retailing and leisure terms, it is going to have a huge impact on the local economy. These people, CACI, who we use for a lot of our analytical work, they produce league tables, if you will, they produce league tables which cover basically every retail destination in the UK. And their analysis of the town is that post-development, Rochdale will leap from over 100 places on the retail hierarchy. So from, I think it's 227 to just below, just into the top 100. And similarly, in regional terms, in the northwest, it will leap from 30th place to number 11. And alongside that, as a consequence of both increasing the catchment area of the town and also, critically importantly, increasing its share of that catchment, then we can add potentially over £100 million to available potential spend in the town centre. And how do we do that? How does that happen? This is probably the single most critical issue of all, because we do it by what we call reversing leakage. At the moment, I don't know if you can see all these stats on the screen, but at the moment, the Rochdale catchment, and if you think about a very sort of loose circle around, with Rochdale at the centre, Bolton in the west, Rawtenstall, Todmorden, round Halifax, Huddersfield, back round to Ashton, and then the north side of Manchester. That's effectively the Rochdale catchment. That's where all the spend that is spent in the town centre comes from. And at the moment, what has been happening and what has happened and what would continue to happen without intervention would be that spend is leaking elsewhere. So if you think about two competing towns of Oldham and Bury, Oldham, Bury and Rochdale have their own catchments. And of course, they all, like a Venn diagram, they all overlap. And the critical areas are in the places where these catchments overlap. And what has been happening is that where consumers have had a choice of where to shop, they've chosen to shop elsewhere. And the reason for that is because the town has not, until recently, had competitive facilities for that people want. And so they go elsewhere. What we're doing will reverse that trend. And 2.6% doesn't sound like a huge amount, but when you think about the overall potential spend in the catchment of over £2 billion a year, then it is a big number, and that's how we can potentially add just over £100 million to the GVA every year. The other fundamental issue that we wanted Riverside to address was we wanted it to be a mixed-use destination that focused just as much on leisure as it does on retail. And in many respects, we were forced into that situation because of where nationally retail finds itself. But equally, it was about more than that, because we wanted to create an evening economy. We wanted to increase dwell times. We wanted to give people a reason to stay in the town and not go to out-of-town destinations or indeed other towns. And that demands a real focus and effort to bring leisure operators into town. And so when we originally planned the scheme, it was always intended to be anchored by a department store at one end and a big leisure operator at the other. And that's the Real Cinemas project, which is, as you've seen, is currently coming out of the ground. And when you look at these sort of statistics, you can see immediately what value that brings, because with a town centre cinema, people stay a lot longer. They are twice as likely to eat in the town centre. They will therefore spend much more on the F&B offer, and there's even an overlap onto the resale spend, which increases up to a quarter. Again, can we, if we could just wind back slightly. Steve touched on this. As I said a few minutes ago, Riverside was always only one element of a much bigger initiative. And hopefully what we do here will be, if nothing else, a catalyst for further change and further regeneration. And the site is bigger, and we're already, with Steve's colleagues, working on the next phase, which is shown on here. It's only at a very outline stage, but we're very hopeful that we can produce a viable business plan to bring forward town centre residential, a hotel and potentially offices. And we're already talking to potential hotel operators that we're familiar with, who have expressed interest in coming to the town. That's currently the site of the Wilmot Dixon site set up. But hopefully what we'll be able to do over the next few months is bring forward that plan such that as this phase completes, we can move out and we can start on site almost seamlessly. And finally, I confess I get slightly out of my comfort zone here, but fortunately we have some extremely talented and young individuals who do understand all of this, and they are help to shape our marketing effort generally, and point me in the right direction and keep me pointed in the right direction. But genuinely, what we did when we set up our social media campaign just over a year ago now, the objective was to market the scheme, yes, but actually it was to do it in a way that raised awareness and changed perceptions of Rochdale as a town. And by starting a conversation that was not based on negativity, but based on positivity, because there is a lot to be positive about, but the message we felt wasn't getting out as far as it could. And so what we did, we set up three social media channels, through Instagram, through Facebook, and through Twitter. And this has slowly built over the year, to the extent that over the period now, all the blogs and the tweets and the postings, they've now been viewed by not far short of 1 million people. And we are also now on all three channels. We've got just short of 1,500 followers. It may be over 1,500 followers by now. I don't know. And what's happening is that all of these people are either reading or sharing or commenting on stories, but all good news stories about Rochdale. And I think that's probably a sort of fitting point to conclude. We just wind back slightly. No, the other way. Yeah, thank you. Because as ambassadors for Rochdale, we can all help here. We can all join in. If you're not already following us on Twitter or on Instagram or Facebook, then I would urge you, please do, because together we can, as Steve said, we can spread the word and we can get the message across. That's all from me. We're just going to show you a quick promo film for the scheme, but thank you.